Good evening and welcome to our Facebook Live this evening. Excuse me. My name is Jenny McCormack and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I'm based in the market town of Brackley, and that is in Northamptonshire in the UK. It looks like Facebook's kindly sent out its messages to say that I'm live, so that's a very pleasant change. It's been a bit delayed the rest of the week. Excuse me. So here we are, Tuesday the 26th of April. So the last week in April and the last week up until the 2nd of May to order items from our retiring list from our annual catalogue 2021 to 2022. So I thought today we would use a very well used stamp set, as you can see, hopefully. Hi Babsy. It's called Very Versailles, and it's very much a vintage style stamp set. It has been around a good few years, which is always a good sign, and I've used it so much that I actually have two of these because it's perfect, especially this text stamp here and these leaves make a really lovely background to cards. We've got a nice little thank you, have a beautiful day, and then this sentiment, which I think is perfect for many occasions, always thinking of you. So I think that's a nice sentiment to have. Hi Jeanette and hi Scylla, thanks for joining us. So I thought I'd do a combination of the old and the new excuse me, again, and the size of that card looks completely wrong to me, so I'm just wondering, let's have a look. So this is, we have our new in colours here, and so I'm going to use these for our card. So we've got Starry Sky, Tahitian Tide, Orchid Oasis, Sweet Sorbet and Parakeet Party. So I know they don't normally shout vintage. That's because I've cut this from a 12 by 12 sheet. So this should be 14.85, so I'll just correct that. And then I'm going to score at 10.5, like so, and then just cut this excess off, like so. Okay, so we have a standard card base to start with, and I've been dashing around today. Literally arrived back home 5 minutes ago after having card class this afternoon, and then straight on to an online team meeting this evening. So as you might have gathered, this isn't prepared, so we're just going to go with the flow. And what I want to do is use this really pretty foliage here and the text stamp. So I think what I'm going to do is use the text stamp first, and I'm going to put some up here and some down here, and I'm going to stamp it off so it's nice and light, but I am going to use the Orchid Oasis ink pad for it. So I hope everybody has had a good day. Can't believe it's the end of the day already. Not quite sure how that even happens, but never mind. It's been a good productive day and a great afternoon class, so that is the main thing. So I'm just popping this on a block, and I want to make sure that I've got it roughly straight. Looks roughly straight. And this is French text, and the best way to check that you've got it the right way round is there's 3 words sort of in the centre, and that goes on the bottom. It's quite difficult to read. Let's just grab a piece of grid paper. Yes, I love this set too, but it's one of those things, if you've got this set, it's one that most people I think would probably keep. And if you haven't got it yet, here's an opportunity to do just that. So I'm going to stamp it off and then pop it onto here, because I just want it light. I don't want the text to be the overall thing. So let's just ink this up and have a look. So I hope you all have had a nice day. Let's see. So that's full strength. And then this is second generation. So you can see the difference between full strength on the right and the second generation on the left. And as always, it's more obvious to me than it is to you. Okay, so let's give this a go. So inking this up. Now I could have another piece of card and stamp this off onto the card, not to waste it, but never mind, we'll go with this. So this is my second generation stamping on the right hand side, like so. This is always a good one to sort of tear down the edges, so I might do that. I think what I'm going to do is pop the other one on the other side. And I'm trying to think, in the new catalogue, if we've got a replacement set of wording, and I have to say nothing springs to mind, but that doesn't actually mean anything, because I tend not to concentrate on the new catalogue until nearer the time of release. So there's my text flowing across there. Now I'm going to bring in Parakeet Party, this one here, for our foliage. Let's just pop that to one side and grab that stamp. So they're quite big stamps, so I'm putting this on an E block. Obviously, if you're not happy handling big stamps, you could put it on the Stamparatus. Just going to put it a bit more at an angle. And again, I want to see whether I'm going to do this full strength or stamp it off. Let's have a look. I think I'm going to do it full strength. Like so. Hi Dee. Hi Annette. Thanks for joining us. So I'm going to have this one coming in from the right hand side, like so, and then re-inking it and adding one from this top left. So this is going to come in at an angle like that, like so. so that we've got that. So it's quite bright, bold colours, not normally what you would associate with a vintage look, but I wanted to match up the old and the new. So this is our background here with the coordinating colour, like so. And then I think what I'm going to do is use a blending brush and just blend a little bit of the blue across here, and then a little bit of the green over here. So I've got a green blending brush, and I'm going to use that same Parakeet Party. So picking up some of the ink from there. Sorry, that's reflecting a bit more than I would like. There we go, that's better. So picking up some ink on our blending brush. This is a very soft, like a very fine baby brush, if you know what that's like. So I'm going to bring this in here for the green. Same on the other corner. Like so. And the measurements for this are 10 centimeters by 14.85. Okay, because that sorry, 10 centimeters by 14.35, and that will match this outside layer, which is 10.5 by 14.85. So it just gives a sort of 2.5 millimeter border around the edges. So just adding that blending brush to soften it. Just grab a blue one. It's here. And use that same ink. This is Orchid Oasis. And again, just taking some of that colour off. Obviously when you open a new ink pad, it's nice and rich with ink. So if you pop it onto your blending brush, just make sure that you are taking some of it off on your scrap paper. So just adding this little bit of blue in the corner. Like so. Again, just to soften it, because these are obviously quite bright, bold colours. And I'm going to do the same in this corner as well. So using up all of the ink before I re-ink it. Hi Tara, I hope you're well. So we're just saying goodbye to Very Versailles, but saying hello to our new in colours. So yesterday we said goodbye to In Symmetry, and these were the cards that I created then. So using these same colours, and then introduced the Sweet Sorbet into this one. And obviously stamp the envelopes to match. I love that In Symmetry set, and that is actually on offer at £9.60 for that set at the minute. But today we're saying goodbye to Very Versailles. So if you like that soft vintage look, it's a good stamp set to grab. So just using the blending brush around the edges just to soften that, like so, to make it look a little bit more old-fashioned. So there, we've got that there, and I know these are quite bright colours. And then I'm going to add a sentiment in the middle, and what I might do is stamp this and cut it out, or just use a small die cut and one of these sentiments. We've got have a beautiful day and thank you, but obviously you could use other sentiments if you've got them. Now I've got one of these new stitched circles there, so that would look quite nice on another die cut shape behind it. So let me just see what I've got to hand. And let me just grab the shapes. Just see if I've got something to hand, only because I've got everything still packed from class. So let me see what I've got that we could use. So interestingly enough, that's, as a comparison, that is Night of Navy. So you can see the difference between those two colours. Right. I think I really need to die cut. So let me grab my mini machine and I've got to find the plates. Typical. I can't see them, so I will punch out a shape instead, because I've got some of this card that I can use behind there. So if I use that new dotty circle, let's see. Do with a, I want an interesting shape but not too big. Let's have a look. Just looking at that. Yeah, that will do. Okay, so I'm going to punch it out of this piece here. And then see what that looks like on there. Might even need to be bigger than that. Or could do a larger one with the Parakeet party as well. Let's have a look. That one's too big. Let's have a look. That's only a little bit bigger, so a 2-inch punch would do the job, I think. Yeah. So let's grab a piece of Parakeet party card. So I'm just going to cut out a circle of that. So we've got that, 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 and then that to bring that all in together. If I just lift that up, you can see that a little bit better, like so. So let's stamp a sentiment onto here. So we've got thank you and have a beautiful day. You could obviously take a larger sentiment as well. Just going to use this one as it's to hand, save you waiting. And let's grab Orchid Oasis. That's that there. Have a beautiful day. The little sort of scroll on the side of it. And what I might do is bring in the leaf here at the top and the bottom, just to tie that all in together again. So this is the foliage here. So stamping that across like so. So if you have got a larger sentiment or a larger die cut that's a bit too big for the piece that you need, think of adding something to fill in the gap, like so. And what I think I'm going to do on here is actually stamp the words. I know you won't see much of it, but I'm going to stamp the words on there in Orchid Oasis. So very non-traditional colours. Hi Tracy, hi Scott, Carol, Sarah, everybody's snuck on when I wasn't looking. Hi Carol to you. So I hope everybody has had a good day that's joining us now. So I'm just going to stamp this across there. So this is Very Versailles for those of you that have joined us recently. That is retiring. I know you can't see this. It's got very fine text on there in a a fine French script. And you've got this lovely foliage here and this lovely detailed example there. So by adding these layers, I'm trying to pull this together. So I'm going to pop that across there and that on top. Do I need that in there? Yes, I feel that I do. So I'm going to stick that layer straight on there and then put the others up on dimensionals. So let's pop this layer down. With some glue. See what we've got here. Nothing in that one. So there we go. Just a light scribble of glue right the way across. And then this is going to go onto the front of our card. Like so. Oh, bless you, Jeanette. Thank you, my darling. Have a good evening. Okay, so this is going to go flat onto there in the centre. So I'm just going to put the glue on this piece here. Like that. Hopefully got that fairly central. It might help if I had it straight though. There we go. And then I've got this layer that's going to go behind, like so. So I'm going to put this one flat, so this sort of will do the connection between the two, and then this one with dimensionals, and then I'll add a little bit of bling to finish it off. So a straightforward card, nothing particularly elaborate about it, just letting the stamps do the work, but I did want to introduce the new colours. So actually that works even in its own right, doesn't it? Oh, sorry, you can't really see it. I forget that it's much brighter in person to me than it is for you, and therefore stands out more. Let's pop that on with some dimensionals. Like so. Four. There we go. And I could do that further down, but I'm going to centralise this, I think. Like so. And then add a little bit of bling. Just now my cutting plates, of course. And I think maybe just some plain ones. So we've got the coordinating ones on here. I think just a little bit of light bling will do the job. Grab my your pick tool. These are a bit light actually. Let's try these. So these are the in colour matte decorative dots. So you can see that we've got the three sets of blue, the green and the sweet sorbet. So let's go for a little bit of a contrast. Let's have a blue one here, and here, and I think the green one might get lost, maybe not, like so. So I've got two on one side, one on the other. Thank you, Scott. Yes, I do like these colours. They're really nice. So there we go. I could put another one on here. Could put a little one in there. Maybe I'll do that. So these are an ombre set of colours. So there's a little one in there on that little bit of detail. So there we go, that's our soon to be departed Very Versailles, a perfect stamp set if you like a vintage look. Now appreciate this doesn't look particularly vintage because of the colours, but by softening the edges with the blending brush, sorry Scott, and adding a little bit of bling and detail and mixing these layers together, hopefully it's brought the whole thing together, even though it may not be a combination that you would normally use. Okay, so that is it for this evening, Tuesday evening. We'll be back in the morning. I will double check that Very Versailles is still available. It was as of yesterday when I pulled the stamp sets ready, but I will check this evening, and if that is the case I'll post a link so that you can see that stamp set in detail on the website, and that is available up until and including the 2nd of May, assuming that it hasn't gone out of stock already. And to this I would obviously add an inside layer, and probably what I will do, let me just grab a piece. Because if I don't do it now, I won't get round to it. So let's just cut this down. Thank you, Scylla. Will we see you on Friday, Scylla, for coffee and card? So this is going to be 14.35 by 10. So that's my inside layer, and I'm going to stamp it again with Orchid Oasis with the words down the right hand down the right hand side, but I'm going to stamp them off again so they're not quite as bold. So just inking this one up, stamp it off once, and then stamp it here just along the edge, and again, like so. So you've got that on the right hand side, and then I will add a little bit more. Oh, jolly good. Look forward to that, Scylla. Just adding a little bit of that ink to the right hand side. Just to soften it. This reminds me of, this colour reminds me in particular of ink from school, the Parker Quink it was called, in that sort of royal, it's quite a nice royal blue almost. And I think what I'm going to do is just add a subtle amount on this side as well, and then we're done. There we go. Just soften that edge. And this will go on the inside of our card. Makes a really nice interesting layer on the inside. And I know I've done quite a lot of cards in the past with that on the left hand side and then torn the edge to get a really soft vintage look to it. So if you've followed me for a while, or if you've been at Coffee and Card for a while, you will have probably seen that. Just want a little bit more glue there. And there we go, that is our card finished. So just got to slide that in so that the glue adheres it nicely to the back of the card without it squashing out anywhere. And there we go, so there's our inner on the right hand side there. And then there's the front of our card. So a very modern looking vintage card. So thank you so much for joining me. As I say, I will check and see that Very Versailles is still available. And of course I'll do that same trick of this on the outside of the envelope as well. Okay, so thank you for joining me. The colours used there are Orchid, Oasis, and I used Starry Sky for the base card underneath, which was a little bit darker, and then I used Parakeet Party is the green that you see on there. So thank you so much for joining me. I'm off at 8 o'clock for a team meeting, so apologies for it being short and sweet this evening. I hope you all have had a good day and have a good evening. And if you're watching this on catch up or replay, then hi, have a good day, morning, afternoon or evening, depending on when you're watching. And if you have any queries or questions, don't hesitate to comment and I'll get back to you. Obviously the availability of this particular stamp set is for the UK, and that may be different in different markets. Okay, so just to warn you of that, but I will pop a link in for the Very Versailles stamp set, and if that's of interest to you, then just let me know. Thank you so much everybody, do take care, enjoy your evening, and I look forward to crafting with you again really soon. Bye for now.